Hello and welcome to our little box of knitting videos to accompany the very beautiful lunar shawl. Before we get going, just a couple of housekeeping notes really. Obviously we're still enjoying lockdown, let's put it that way. So my house is not quiet. So I've got one boy very busy doing work and one boy very busy doing homeschooling. So as much as obviously we'd like the background to be entirely silent, it might not be, so I'm really sorry in advance. I'm sure you can forgive me and understand. So that's that out the way. We're going to be working with this absolutely beautiful and entirely aptly named exquisite yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners. It is, oh, it's just gorgeous, isn't it? The sheen on it, you'll have it in your hands as well. The sheen on it is really beautiful. I haven't worked with this before and I cannot wait to start. It's a blend of Falkland wool and mulberry silk and I just can't wait. So you should have two skeins, obviously one in Knightsbridge, which is this just beautiful kind of a lilac-y silver almost, isn't it? Really beautiful colour. And one in Chantilly, which will give the lovely contrast that we need for our shawl. I'm sure that you've worked with skeins of yarn before, knitters generally have, but if you haven't, and again apologies if it's obvious, but we can't work with them as skeins. We must wind them into balls or yarn cakes or whatever you want to call them. So before we start, that's what I'm now going to go and do. As if by magic, we've got two yarn cakes ready to go. So we don't need the Chantilly one for the moment, so I'll get rid of that. We're just going to be working with Knightsbridge to start with, and of course our lovely circular needles, which I particularly love because you can twizzle the needles. If you look at my left hand there, I'm twizzling that needle and that cable doesn't move, so you can move the needles independently to the cable, and it does seem to stop a lot of getting in tangles in my experience. Right, so our shawl is a semicircular shawl, and the increase is we're going to start at the centre with very few stitches and increase kind of outwards. In some shawl construction you have like a central spine and you increase either side of the spine and sometimes at the edges as well. But for our lovely lunar shawl we're just going to increase at the edges. So Knightsbridge is the colour of the main body of the shawl, and we will get started. Right, we're going to start just with a very small amount of stitches cast on, just 3. So it doesn't really matter what method of cast on you use. I'm obviously starting here with a slip knot, and I'm just, well, it's long tail. It's a long tail method it seems that I'm using. So that's 2, that's 3. Okay. So 3 stitches on our needle and ready to go. And to start with, all you're going to do is knit 7 rows. And I don't know why, but this seems to trip me up fairly regularly. I'm sure it is just me and not you. Because, I mean, it's 3 stitches and you've just got to knit them. So I'm not 100% sure why you're watching, really, putting your faith in me. But we are where we are. So 7 rows, here we go. That's 1. I love the yarn already. Right, so just done number 6, let's do number 7. 1, 2, 3. Right, so I'm not going to turn it yet. You'll just see it's a little blob really. It's not very exciting. But what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the work. So I'm going to do a very deliberate turning action, and we're going to pick up 3 stitches from the long edge of the work. You can try and get in the purl bumps. That's nice if you want to do that. You don't have to, but you know, give it a go. And I'm going to actually poke my left needle in there and knit it. That's 1. And then the next purl bump is there. You see, so just pop my needle in there. So easy first time, wasn't it? And now I can't do it again. Where is it? Sorry. Oh dear. There we go. It's a bit sort of splitty. That's 2. That was a meal, wasn't it? And then the last one in this last sort of bottom pearl bump there. That was a bit easier. 3. So we now got an even more undiscernible blob, sorry, but with 6 stitches. And we're now going to turn one more time and pick up from the cast on edge. It can be a little bit tricky, I think, as the pattern suggests, but no, let's give it a go. So our kind of corner of our cast on is this little lumpy bump bit here, so let's go straight in there. And just, I think I find it easier if I use my left needle and don't just try and sort of use just one needle. So it's 1. It can be difficult to kind of discern where you're going, but I'm going to just go ahead and say that once you're sort of hammering along with your knitting, it won't really show. That's 2, and I'm just, if you just can see here, so you can see that tiny bump there, I think that is the bottom bit of the cast on edge. So if I can get another stitch in there, and I can, I'm kind of happy-ish with that. So there's 3 there. Okay, and I've now got 9 stitches on my needle, and it's almost like a center point here. You can kind of see almost a center point going with the pearl bumps going vertically there. Okay.